everybody, welcome back to another video. You might see that the camera setup's a little bit different. I'm just trying this out for now to see if this ends up working better than the setup I have been using was doing. But today I would like to talk about some storylines from this NFL offseason, especially now that we're in the midst of preseason, getting ready for the regular season. So maybe this can serve as a bit of a refresher for those of you that keep up, or maybe an enlightenment for those of you that don't. This is going to be super in-depth. Just kind of touching on some different storylines and things that happened over this offseason. And some things that might be spilling over into this regular season now. After preseason ends, which I think is coming up here in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I will be doing a video for my week 1 predictions. Stories from this offseason in no particular order. Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, traded cornerback Jalen Ramsey to the Miami Dolphins for the 3rd round pick, and tight end Hunter Long. Jalen Ramsey has for a while now been one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. A lot of people probably put him in the top 10, top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL. One of the best secondary players. But going to Miami, playing under defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, a lot of people have high expectations that he can elevate his game even further. He'll get even better than he has been. I'm one of those people. I think he probably will do very good in that Vic Fangio defensive system. Obviously, another really big story from the offseason was Aaron Rodgers leaving the Green Bay Packers to go to the New York Jets. But not only do the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, they had a ton of pieces, both on offense and defense. And the Jets last season already had one of the better defenses in the NFL. In fact, let me look and see. Yeah, looking at the stats, last year the Jets were a top 5 defense in the NFL. They were 4th in points per game and 2nd in points per drive. So, they added some defensive pieces, and I think that, having a great defense, bring in Aaron Rodgers, because Zach Wilson was not good last season, and then, giving Aaron Rodgers some weapons as well. They could have a top 5 defense and potentially top 10, top 5 offense. That could be a very good team next season, but they are in a tough division, the AFC East. They'll be going up against the Bills probably for that top spot, in my opinion, but Miami is even kind of like a sleeper pick. I think any team but the Patriots they might have a good argument for winning that division. The Cincinnati Bengals sign Orlando Brown Jr., who is a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. He is an extremely versatile player, can play both sides of the line, but he's going to primarily be at left tackle, which is, very important because Joe Burrow was sacked 153 times in his first 3 seasons in the NFL. So you bring in a guy who's one of the best offensive tackles in the league, probably the best free agent on the market this offseason, and you get to move Jonah Williams from the left to the right, which, Burrow really needs that protection. So hopefully this is going to help elevate him and the Bengals, because the Bengals have felt like they've kind of just been like right there for a little while, but this might be what they need to get over the hump. Jimmy Garoppolo leaves the San Francisco 49ers, goes to Las Vegas to replace Derek Carr. Derek Carr goes to the New Orleans Saints. The Raiders are in this really weird spot, like moving to Las Vegas. They haven't really been able to make a huge name for themselves like the Golden Knights have in Vegas, because they haven't been very successful there. I think they've had losing seasons since they've moved to Vegas, and I don't think they've made the playoffs since moving there. Fairly confident they haven't. Bringing a guy, a veteran quarterback who has a winning record in this league in his career. Jimmy Garoppolo is 40-17, but he played in New England and he played in San Francisco, of course. So those are two systems that he played in. He's more of a system quarterback, and you have to question if the systems in Las Vegas are good enough for him to succeed, but we'll see. Also, he does have some injury risk, but I don't know. We'll see. It feels like a retirement move for Jimmy G, if I'm being honest. Then we had the Cardinals fire sale. After being declared winners of the offseason, what was that, like 2 years ago now at this point? They had that huge offseason. They looked really scary on paper, but then they weren't really able to achieve anything. J.J. Watt retired. They end up releasing DeAndre Hopkins. He goes to the Tennessee Titans. They traded their third overall pick, and they got a pretty decent haul for that pick, but then they end up hiring Jonathan Gannon, who has a lot of question marks around him as a head coach. Not a lot of confidence in Gannon as head coach, and then also Kyler Murray tore his ACL or his Achilles last year, towards the end of the year. I think it was his ACL, but it might have been his Achilles. And he's not going to play to start the year. They said the first half of the year he isn't going to play, but I personally don't think Kyler Murray is going to play at all this season, if I had to make a guess. If I was a betting man, I would say he will not. Although the team does refuse to say they are rebuilding, they clearly are rebuilding. Another big story from the offseason was Lamar Jackson re-signing with the Ravens. It got really ugly. There was a lot of tweets back and forth. He was acting as his own agent, I believe. The teams were kind of sniping at each other a little bit using the media, but in the end, Lamar Jackson gets a 5-year, $260 million deal done, and the team adds Odell Beckham Jr. to the roster as a weapon. He's a little bit older at this point, and he didn't really work out in Cleveland. And it was Cleveland, and then he went to Tampa Bay. I think he might have been decent in Tampa Bay, but we'll see how he does there in Baltimore. Chicago had a ton of cap space this last offseason, and they had a lot of assets, draft picks, things like that. In addition to their draft picks, they made Chicago signs Tremaine Edmonds, Yannick Ngakoue, DeMarcus Walker, DJ Edwards, and Nate Davis. And Chicago is slowly but surely building themselves up year over year. I feel like I'm always high on Chicago. I feel like I'd predicted them to win so many weeks and they just wouldn't win. In fact, this is going to be another year where I'm probably a lot higher on Chicago than perhaps they deserve, but we'll see. Really big story. Just came out, I believe, like 2-3 days ago, is that the San Francisco 49ers traded Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th round pick. Trey Lance was drafted 3rd overall. Is it 2 years years ago at this point. I think, and they gave up all to get that 3rd overall pick, so this is a huge miss for them. After his shocking arrival on the scene last season, Brock Purdy has been named the QB1 for the 49ers going forward, and this is a little bit of an I told you so moment for me. Because in one of my review videos last year, I was talking about how after Lance got hurt, I was like, Purdy has to be the guy. Look at how he's been playing. Like, Purdy has to be the guy in San Francisco. I was saying that. And I was getting pushback in the comments. Like, there's like one guy in particular saying it's like ridiculous. Like, you have to still try and play Lance. You can't let Purdy start. You have to let Lance try and work it out. I told you so. I told you so. Brock Purdy is the QB1 in San Francisco. Trey Lance going to the Cowboys will be backing up Dak Prescott. Speaking of Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott is gone. The Cowboys let Ezekiel Elliott walk. He goes to the New England Patriots, and I think it's a smart move in the modern NFL. You cannot overpay running backs. It is the most replaceable position in the NFL, and a running back is only as good as their offensive line. An average running back can be great and get good yardage with a good line. So, I think it's a smart move on the Cowboys' part. Speaking of running backs, however, Jonathan Taylor, he wants out. He does not want to be in Indianapolis anymore, who just got rookie QB Anthony Richardson. Jonathan Taylor has not been practicing with the team. I'm not sure if he's been playing in preseason or not, but I want to say he has not been. He's on the final year of his rookie contract. 2 years ago, he was leading the NFL in rushing yards, but the Colts are refusing a long-term extension. The Chicago Bears, Miami Dolphins, and Denver Broncos are apparently interested in trading for him. And then obviously they'd have to be extending him as well. Of those teams, I'd like to see him on the Bears or the Dolphins. I think that makes sense. But we'll see what happens there. Apparently, they're giving him until Tuesday to find a trade partner. I'm recording this my Monday, but Sunday back in the US. So when this video goes up, it'll be Monday in the US, I believe. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But by the end of the week, Jonathan Taylor could very well be on a new team. And the last piece of news I want to talk about is Bobby Wagner coming home to Seattle, leaving the Los Angeles Rams after just 2 seasons there. And along with that, Geno Smith gets a short-term extension done, 3 years, $105 million to return as the starting QB. The Seattle Seahawks, my favorite team. Drew Lock's looked pretty good in preseason as well. But really, the Seahawks have improved across the board. They added great depth on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, and personally, I think that we will have a top 5 secondary in the NFL next season. I think our secondary is going to be nuts. But anyways, guys, that's it. I know this is just a short video, but the whole season is almost upon us. Preseason's here. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to watch games with the time zone difference. It's going to be really, really hard, but I'm going to try to figure it out. NFL content is just around the corner, I promise. Anyways, if you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. And until next time, guys, bye-bye.